Fans feel like they might have just discovered The Rock's latest hint for WrestleMania 39, so we'll see what's going on there. We'll also check out the latest with Becky Lynch's Marvel project, Sasha Banks, and more. Let's start things off with Becky Lynch. So going back to early 2020, the big piece of news at the time was that the higher-ups at Marvel were allegedly extremely interested in bringing Becky Lynch over for a role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The report at the time claimed how Marvel executives really took notice of Becky Lynch because of her entire first run as the Man and how much of a strong connection she had with the fans. They reportedly loved everything she brought to the table, and that's been a part of the reason why they wanted to give her a role. But of course, there were a few obstacles that popped up shortly after that report came out. Just a few weeks after that report first came out is when the pandemic first kicked into full effect. And even some more months after that was when Becky Lynch announced her pregnancy. So there were several roadblocks on the way of Becky and Marvel working with each other back then in 2020. But according to a new report from Fightful, Becky Lynch did in fact film a scene for Marvel sometime within the last few years. Becky Lynch's Marvel character was set to make its first appearance during the post-credit scenes for Marvel's Eternals movie. But Becky Lynch's Marvel debut scene was cut for unknown reasons. The report claims that this doesn't mean that Becky Lynch's role and character has been fully scrapped. Becky's character could still pop up somewhere down the line in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Maybe Marvel loved the role and wanted an even bigger debut for Becky Lynch in their films, so maybe they made that adjustment. But either way, it's very exciting news just knowing it was actually filmed. WWE superstars crossing over into superhero films has been a successful combination so far. You have The Rock as Black Adam, John Cena as Peacemaker, Batista as Drax, and so on. All those WWE superhero characters are attached to successful projects in their respective cinematic universes. So it's exciting to know that one more could be on the way with Becky Lynch. As far as everything that goes with Becky Lynch on WWE television, she's currently feuding with Bayley. It's great to finally have a major non-title feud going down in the women's division. That's been extremely rare to see in recent years, so it's nice to finally see a big non-title story here between Bayley and Becky. It'll be interesting to see how they tie their 4 horsewomen history into this feud, while also adding the new threat of damage control into the story. Becky Lynch really shouldn't be coming after the Raw Women's title anytime soon, especially as long as Bianca's the champion. They already had their full circle moment and made peace with each other, so it doesn't make much sense for Becky to come after Bianca again, even as a babyface. So unless the Raw Women's title changes hands, or Becky goes over to Smackdown, she should remain out of the title picture for the immediate future. Speaking of movie roles, the conversation continues with Sasha Banks. Sasha took to Twitter to announce that she had officially wrapped filming her first movie role. The film also wrapped in Sasha's hometown of Boston, so it was even more special to her. Not much is known at all about this project that Sasha was working on or what size role she has. But fans did notice that when Sasha was at the Boston Celtics game, she wasn't alone at all. She was there with multiple film partners of the Yale production studio. So although nothing is actually confirmed, you can assume that this is the crew behind this new project for Sasha Banks. They had just wrapped filming and were still in town, so they decided to go to the game. Fans also pointed out that Yale Productions is also the studio that gave Liv Morgan a role in the upcoming film The Kill Room. So it wasn't their first time working with a WWE superstar at all. As far as the latest wrestling update for Sasha Banks, nothing new has popped up since we last talked about her. The only new topic was how a fan was holding a Sasha cutout in the crowd during a WWE live event, and Bayley went up to the Sasha cutout and jokingly called her stupid. But other than that, the Sasha Banks news remains pretty quiet. Now let's get into what many fans are accepting as another WrestleMania 39 hint for The Rock and Roman Reigns. The hint comes to us from The Rock's TV series, Young Rock. So, the overall plot of Young Rock follows Dwayne Johnson in the early 2030s as he's preparing for a presidential election. While he's deep into his campaign, The Rock tells stories from throughout his life. Stories from his childhood, high school, college, and even his early days in WWE. In the earlier seasons, The Rock dropped a big WrestleMania Easter egg with Roman Reigns that everyone picked up on. That scene was when a child version of Roman Reigns challenged a young adult version of The Rock to wrestle while they were all sitting in the living room. The young adult version of The Rock responded to little Roman's challenge by saying that a match of that size can only happen at WrestleMania. Although this was meant to be a conversation that happens decades upon decades ago, fans feel like that was definitely done on purpose to fuel more rumors for The Rock versus Roman Reigns taking place in the future. Roman even reacted to that scene and said it was a good sign that The Rock still had that match on his mind and was actively teasing it. But during one of the most recent episodes of Young Rock, there's a more subtle WrestleMania 39 teaser. This one isn't as obvious as the conversation between young Roman and Young Rock. In this teaser, current-day Rock in the early 2030s is walking in front of this trophy case of all of his career highlights in WWE. Everything appears normal until you look at the top of the display case. Sitting right at the top of the center of the display case is a picture of The Rock along with a blue Universal Title belt resting right in front of that picture. A lot of fans called the scene out for being inaccurate because obviously The Rock has never held the Universal Title. But that's when you gotta take a step back and look even deeper. The current day events of Young Rock mostly takes place in the early 2030s, meaning that WrestleMania 39 already took place nearly 10 years ago in this timeline. So what if the Universal Title that's on display in the case is the title that he won from Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39? Because again, WrestleMania 39 in the show's universe and timeline is like ancient history, while WrestleMania 39 in reality still hasn't happened yet for us. So many fans are just looking at the placement of the Universal Title in the background as being a sign from The Rock that the match is happening sometime in the near future. And of course, you're dealing with different universes and multiverses here. In the Young Rock universe, it looks like The Rock was successful in defeating Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Title. But that doesn't mean the same thing has to happen in our universe. Maybe Roman does end up defeating The Rock. Maybe the Universal Title isn't involved at all. It's all a possibility. It definitely was a nice little subtle hint that could be understood in many different ways. But the show is basically telling us that sometime between 2023 and the early 2030s, The Rock held the Universal Title. So we'll have to see what happens there. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.